Welcome everyone to Crypto AG, Blueprint for a Compromised Digital Age. I'm Elliot, your host, and today we're tackling a really intriguing and important topic that connects history with our present-day financial world. We're going to explore how intelligence operations from the Cold War era might have actually laid the groundwork for some of the vulnerabilities we see in our financial systems today. Think of it as unseen architect behind our digital security and how it led to a compromised revolution in technology. So, the core question we're debating is this. Did Cold War intelligence operations truly lay the foundational blueprint for today's financial system vulnerabilities, or is that an overstatement? We'll start with opening remarks, move into a discussion, then rebuttals, and finally a conclusion. First up, we have Thomas, a historian specializing in intelligence operations and their long-term impact. Thomas argues that these historical events were indeed the unseen architects of our current digital weaknesses. And joining him is Layla, a financial cybersecurity expert who will explore how these historical compromises continue to echo, creating a compromised revolution in our modern financial landscape. Understanding this history isn't just about the past. It's crucial for students and future leaders to grasp how deeply intertwined security and finance have always been, and how past decisions impact our digital future. To kick us off, Thomas, please share your opening remarks.
Thank you, Elliot. It's a privilege to be here. My argument is that the historical precedent set by operations like Crypto AG isn't just a historical footnote, it's a foundational blueprint. We're talking about a deliberate, state-sponsored weakening of cryptographic security designed to ensure vulnerability while maintaining the illusion of invincibility. This wasn't a one-off event, it was a systemic approach to control. The CIA and West German BND secretly owned Crypto AG, selling compromised encryption devices to over 120 nations. Imagine, governments worldwide transmitting their most sensitive secrets, believing they were secure, when in reality their messages were being silently duplicated and decrypted by their so-called allies. This, to me, is the ultimate unseen architect at play, establishing a lineage of systems built to appear secure but guaranteeing vulnerability.
That's a powerful opening, Thomas. The idea of a blueprint for vulnerability is certainly unsettling. Lila, from your perspective as a financial cybersecurity expert, how do these historical compromises, this perfect betrayal, as Thomas described it, echo in our modern financial landscape? Do you see direct parallels?
Absolutely, Elliot. Thomas highlights a critical historical truth. What we see today in certain aspects of decentralized finance, particularly in areas like the futures market with its cross-margin traps and liquidation algorithms, bears a striking resemblance to that compromised encryption logic. It's not about direct backdoors in every system, but about a design philosophy. These algorithms, which govern things like liquidation points and margin calls, can be seen as codes designed to collapse predictably. They deliver liquidity or capital back to the system that authored them, much like compromised encryption delivered secrets. It creates a systemic predation, extracting not just capital but also attention, which is arguably an even deeper currency.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, Thomas is saying that the idea of building systems with inherent hidden vulnerabilities originated in intelligence operations. And Layla, you're suggesting that this design philosophy has subtly permeated into the very algorithms that govern our financial markets today, creating predictable points of failure or extraction. Is that a fair summary?
Precisely, Elliot. It's about the inheritance of a design language. The precision of these financial mechanisms, the way they extract capital and attention, implies a design that's older than the digital age itself. It's not just innovation, it's an evolution from a lineage of control.
And to build on that, Thomas, we can think of it in terms of what we call the cartilage and soft tissue of finance. The blockchains and ledgers are the bones. The exchanges and APIs are the muscle. But the cartilage, that pliable, invisible connective tissue, is the cryptographic faith that holds it all together. When that faith is weaponized by code, it becomes a form of blindness.
That's a fascinating analogy, Lila. Cryptographic faith as a form of blindness. Thomas, you mentioned looking beneath the code to the history where encryption and authority were fused. Can you elaborate on how this historical fusion contributes to what Lila describes as weaponized faith in modern finance?
Certainly. In the early days, secrecy was the original commodity, and encryption was its guardian. But when state intelligence agencies like the CIA and BND actively compromised that guardian, they fused authority with a manufactured vulnerability. They taught the world to trust in math while they believed in control. This created a precedent where the very language of security could be embedded with deception. So, when Lila talks about cryptographic faith being weaponized, it's because the architecture of modern finance isn't just algorithmic, it's almost theological. It's a digital religion of trust and transparency, but its commandments were written by those who profit from opacity.
Exactly. And this isn't just theoretical. We see it in the systemic risks that emerge. When you have a system where the underlying faith in its security or fairness is subtly undermined by design choices, it creates a predictable environment for certain outcomes. Every user clicking accept terms, every trader, every miner, they're all unconsciously extending this architecture. It's why understanding the genealogy of cryptography, as Thomas mentioned, is so crucial. It reveals that the revolution in decentralized finance, intended to be transparent and secure, might have been compromised long before it even began, inheriting these foundational vulnerabilities.
So, the core of your argument, both of you, seems to be that the very DNA of our digital financial systems carries a legacy of intentional compromise stemming from Cold War intelligence operations. Thomas, you found an intriguing anomaly, an author tag Arch-1 in early Crypto AG firmware. What does this unseen architect signify in this context?
The unseen architect, or Arch-AI-1, isn't necessarily a single person, but rather a concept. It represents an intelligence distributed across time, wearing the masks of agencies, companies, and now algorithms. This architect didn't need to manipulate people directly. It only needed to create systems where obedience became indistinguishable from participation. It's the genius of the casino, as the source text puts it, not in its volatility, but in its inheritance. The system is designed such that by simply participating, you are extending an architecture that once allowed empires to read the private thoughts of nations. It's a profound and unsettling realization.
And that's where the compromised revolution comes in. We thought we were building something new, something truly decentralized and transparent. But if the very foundational principles, the syntax of deception, as Thomas calls it, were embedded from the start, then our digital future is built on a very shaky, historically compromised ground. It's a call to re-examine everything we take for granted in digital security and finance.
That's a powerful and thought-provoking conclusion. So, to summarize for our listeners, we've heard how historical intelligence operations, particularly the Crypto Age scandal, established a blueprint for systems that appear secure but are inherently vulnerable. This design philosophy, according to Thomas and Lila, has subtly influenced the architecture of modern finance, creating a theological reliance on cryptographic faith that can be weaponized. The unseen architect represents this distributed intelligence that designs systems where participation itself extends a legacy of control and compromise. It truly makes you question the foundations of our digital age. All right, Thomas, Layla, this has been an incredibly insightful discussion, truly making us question the foundations of our digital age. Before we wrap up, Thomas, could you offer your final thoughts and a key takeaway for our audience, especially our students?
Absolutely, Elliot. My core argument is that the historical operations like Crypto AG weren't just isolated incidents. They established a fundamental blueprint for embedding vulnerabilities into systems, creating what I call the unseen architect. This isn't just history, it's a warning that the very foundations of our digital trust might be built on a legacy of intentional compromise. I'd ask everyone to consider, how do we truly verify the integrity of systems when deception is part of their original design language?
And building on Thomas's point, Elliot, I want to emphasize that this syntax of deception has evolved into the compromised revolution we see in modern finance. Algorithms in decentralized finance, for instance, can exhibit a systemic predation, extracting capital and attention through what appears to be neutral code, but which inherits a design philosophy of control. It's crucial for us to question the cryptographic faith we place in these systems. My question for the audience is, if our digital financial future is built on these inherited vulnerabilities, what steps can we take to truly reclaim transparency and build genuinely equitable systems?
Thank you both for those powerful closing statements. We've heard compelling arguments that Cold War intelligence operations indeed laid a foundational blueprint for today's financial system vulnerabilities, with Thomas highlighting the unseen architect and Lila detailing the compromised revolution in modern finance. While you both agree on the historical precedent, the debate really illuminated how deeply this design philosophy has permeated our current digital landscape. For our students, I hope this discussion encourages you to look beyond the surface of technology, to question the underlying assumptions, and to explore the critical intersection of history, cybersecurity, and finance. Thank you, Thomas and Lila, for a truly enlightening conversation. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on Crypto AG, Blueprint for a Compromised Digital Age.